Trời ơi, kiểu bây giờ là 2 giờ 18 phút. Xong rồi kiểu mình không có gì làm ý, nên là bây giờ mình sẽ học IELTS mọi người ạ. Mọi người có muốn học cùng mình không? Thôi mọi người không, mọi người có bảo không ý, thì mình cũng bảo có. Là giờ chúng ta sẽ học IELTS listening, mọi người sẽ thấy được process làm listening của một người. Hồi trước mình được 9.0 listening, mọi người thấy đỉnh không? Không sai một câu nào. Tai thính như gì nhỉ? Ai tai thính hả? Không biết nữa. Thế nên là rồi, để mình làm bừa một cái nha. Mấy cái này mình chưa làm nữa, tại vì mình không học ở trên cái web này. Mình chỉ mới biết đến sự tồn tại của web này gần đây thôi. Mặc dù là rõ ràng thì đây có vẻ đây là một cái web rất là hiệu quả để mọi người ôn luyện. Mình chọn cái gì vui vui thì nhá. Early History of Salt. À đây, mình phải chọn từ bài kiểu bài dễ trước. Nó không có kiểu cái nào là bài dễ trước à? Recent actual test. Đây là bài test thật. Damn. Đây, mình phải thử mới biết được mọi người. Chúng ta sẽ không thể biết được là bài này khó đến đâu và nó thật đến đâu cho đến khi chúng thử. Nên là mình sẽ làm thử luôn. Ok. Đây part 3 luôn ạ. Phải ở đây.
Part 3. You
to.
will hear two students called Aria and John discussing the research on water hyacinths. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
Lần cuối mình làm test IELTS bằng mình hết hạn rồi, nên luyện thi dần để thi lại. Bắt đầu chưa ạ? Chưa thấy hai nhỏ nói gì luôn á. Hả? Chúng chưa nói luôn ý. Ngồi chờ. Phải tỏ ra kiểu thật là kiểu bình tĩnh. Hả? Nó không có cái tiếng gì.
Now, listen carefully and
nó cho mình thời gian
answer
đọc đều, mình không đọc đều, mình ngồi mình chơi.
26.
Trung bình tôi. Chuột đâu rồi?
John, how is it going with your research on water hyacinth?
Well, I went on a field trip on my own and collected the primary data. After I came back, I also referred to the published data.
So, what do you know about this plant?
The water hyacinth grows in tropical countries. It has beautiful purple-blue flowers, but everybody hates it.
Why is that?
The water hyacinth, as the world's worst invasive aquatic plant, has attracted significant attention. Millions of these plants grow in rivers and lakes and have brought huge environmental and cultural problems to the local people. Farmers cannot travel in boats on the water and thus cannot fish in it. In addition, heavy free-floating mats of water hyacinth are clogging the dam at the power station in West Africa. Turbines of the power station are often shut down because of the intertwined leaves. Dams often cease to function as a result, severely restricting the electricity generation. Dense mats of water hyacinth also shade the surface and prevent algae growth, thus limiting the production of oxygen and threatening the survival of fish.
So, where did water hyacinth originate from?
The water hyacinth is native to the Amazon basin in Latin America. It has spread mainly to the tropics and subtropics throughout much of the world since the 1800s. Later, it was introduced into Europe and Africa as an ornamental garden pond plant due to its beauty. Flowers of this plant were being sold in local markets in African countries as a source of income for women. Since the 1900s, this weed has infested lakes, rivers, and creeks of the delta areas in West Africa.
I guess whoever introduced this plant had never expected the disastrous impact it would have on the local ecological environment. What kind of habitat does water hyacinth thrive most in?
Well, it has been discovered that the nutrient-rich environment contributes significantly to the rapid proliferation of this weed, which obtains its nutrients directly from the water. This is normally compounded with a decrease of nutrients along the river banks.
Why is that?
The main reason for soil nutrient loss is that local residents cut down trees. Excessive deforestation accelerates soil erosion, which indirectly compounds this issue. Without enough trees to retain nutrients in the soil, Frequent rain might partly aggravate this by carrying some of the nutrients into the waterways.
Are there any effective measures to control or even eradicate this weed?
Yes, a number of approaches have been widely applied throughout the world. Among them, biological control is the most widely favored long-term control method by introducing a type of insect that feeds on water hyacinth. So far, Nigeria has used this method for 6 months. However, the water hyacinth won't be removed immediately. The side effects of this method on the local ecology will remain unforeseen for years because it takes time for this external insect species to reach a density sufficient enough to affect ecological development.
Then what about other approaches? Is there a quicker way to control it?
Well, the mechanical removal of water hyacinth is seen as the best short-term solution. This option includes harvesting plants and in-site cutting. This method can immediately open physical space for fish and boat traffic. It is, however, inefficient for workers to process extensive areas, and costly to use large cutting and dredging equipment. Ironically, it costs even more to dispose of this plant than to remove it.
Okay.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
Ok. Có vẻ kiểu cut down water hyacinth can be
Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
cows.
Can we make use of this weed and turn it into something good?
Now scientists think that water hyacinth can be useful. The plant itself, although more than 95% water, has a fibrous tissue and a high energy and protein content and can be used for a variety of useful applications.
So what do people do with water hyacinth that is initially removed?
First, the cut down water hyacinth is left to dry under the sun for a few days before being mixed with ash and animal manure. The mixture can be used as alternative soil rather than fertilizer. It can grow crops with increased yield.
That sounds interesting.
Đoán đúng rồi.
Mushroom farmers can benefit from water hyacinth as well. Using the mixture mentioned earlier, mushrooms generally grow much faster so that farmers can harvest mushrooms sooner, which enables them to make money faster.
I see. It can be used to grow oyster and straw mushrooms, right?
Yes, in India, attempts have been made to grow these types of edible mushrooms organically utilizing water hyacinth. These
Đây.
mushrooms provide sufficient nutritional values, including minerals and high-quality protein, which are
Con
essential
bò
to
ấy ta.
people's level of fitness.
Right. Are there any other measures taken to utilize water hyacinth?
In Southeast
Hello.
Asia, people feed cows using chopped water hyacinth mixed with other vegetables. Then the waste from the cows is treated to produce methane gas, which can be used as fuel
Vãi
for
thật
cooking,
này, real.
lighting, or powering an
Toàn đoán
engine.
đáp án ạ.
And with
Đây
global
đây.
warming getting worse,
Okay,
developing
nộp bài
alternative
rồi.
sources of energy will be more urgent than ever.
Submit and view
Maybe in
answer. No. Sai mấy câu ngu. Ok. Pause stream cái đã mình phải đi ăn. Hello mọi người. Mình vừa mới ăn xong. Quay lại học. Kiểu lâu lâu không làm ấy nên nó hơi đần một tí. B. Cái này cũng hợp lý này. E. Mà hai cái đáp án này giống y hệt nhau ấy, nhìn này. Electricity production is affected với cả electricity production is affected. Tức là câu này mình sai một câu rồi. Đúng rồi. Cái này cũng đúng. Này cũng đúng. Hay bị xáo với nhau à? D là can produce. Shit. Sao mình lại để lại F là gì? Fertilizer. Material for plants to grow in lack fertilizer chứ không phải fertilizer. Ok, fair point. Cái này đúng. D. Rộng. Được. Đâu, cái này là E chứ. Fuck. Good for human health. Ok. Xài mấy câu đần đần. Làm lại cái mới. Làm lại thôi anh em. Rồi, history of salt. Cái này nghe hay ho ấy mọi người.
Part 4. You will hear part of a presentation about the early history of salt. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Ok, giờ mình sẽ đọc qua 31 to 40. 9 cái đáp án này. Salt is essential for human. Mình sẽ viết trước một số cái ra. The word salt. Hoặc là sodium. Kiểu đây là mình test đoán trước ấy. Kept in the local farm. Only available in the winter. Farm. Salt has been used widely. We can tell from the diet of the native. Hay là Swedish.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
In my presentation, I'm going to talk about salt. In modern times, when we talk about salt, people may associate it with high blood pressure or increased heart risk, and many health experts warn that we should use less salt in our meals and dishes. However, we should not ignore its importance in our cuisine and even in early human history. Salt is one of the oldest, most ubiquitous food seasonings. The taste of salt is one of the basic human tastes. More importantly, salt plays an indispensable role in the health of human beings. For example, it regulates the body's acid-base balance. Because of its importance to survival, salt has often been considered a valuable commodity during human history. This can be tracked all the way back to ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and ancient Rome, when salt was highly valued and used as a method of trade and currency. In ancient Rome, the busiest road leading to the city was the Via Salaria, which means the salt route in English. A soldier's pay, which partly consisted of salt, was known as salarium argentum in Latin, from which we derived the English word salary. A soldier's salary was cut if he was not worth his salt, an expression still used today. In fact, salt was not only the first condiment discovered, but also the first preservative. We know today that food goes bad because microorganisms in the food multiply in abundance, and a high salt environment is not conducive to microbial reproduction. Extremely high concentrations of salt can even kill microorganisms in the food. The ancients certainly didn't know this, but they did know that salted food can be preserved for a long time. The use of salt as a preservative can be traced to ancient Sweden. At first, hunting was the principal means of livelihood. In this case, meat supplies were unlikely to be frequent. What's more, fewer animals were available for hunting. In order to ensure the supply of meat, many families in Sweden began to raise animals in the surrounding forests during the summer, when the weather was suitable for animals to survive. These animals were fed every day until about 3 to 4 months later. That's in October. They were ready to be butchered for meat, and that was the only month when ancient Swedish people had fresh meat on their table. Then, with the continuous increase in productivity,
Từ từ.
butchered for meat, and that was the only month when ancient 4 months later, that's in October, they were ready to be butchered for meat, and that was the only month when ancient Swedish people had fresh meat on their table. Then, with the continuous increase in productivity, people finally had some meat left. However, how to store the meat had become a headache until someone invented a whole new way to preserve food: salting. People tried to keep meat from going bad by adding some salt to it, and it could be preserved for several months and even years. There was evidence that salt was widely used to preserve meat. Historical documents in 1573 recorded the Swedish king's everyday meals, mentioning that 175 pounds of meat was consumed each year, but over 150 pounds was salty. From this, we can clearly see the importance of salt in Sweden at that time. In addition, the documents also noted the annual sales of beer in Sweden soared during that period, and this must be related to high levels of salt in their food. And this must be related to that time. In addition, 175 pounds of meat was consumed each year, but over 150 pounds was salty. From this, we can clearly see the importance of salt in Sweden at that time. In addition, the documents also noted the annual sales of beer in Sweden soared during that period, and this must be related to high levels of salt in their food.
Just sound like that. Dụ má quảng cáo.
Now, let's turn to the sources of salt. Where is salt from? Well, salt is common in nature. It has long been found that salt can be extracted from seawater, mineral deposits, saline lakes, brine, spring, etc., among which the two most important ones are oceans and basins. On the floor of the latter often lie deserts, where traces of salt can be found, such as the Sahara. Furthermore, the quality of different salt types varies a lot. For example, salt from seawater is always mixed with impurities, so after the salt is dried, the sediments and other chemicals need to be purified before eating. However, this is not the case with salt from spring water. We can hardly find any impurities, and the salt level is much more concentrated. Then, how did people distribute salt around the world? Of course, in modern times, we have various ways of transporting goods, but in ancient times, it was not the case. Take ancient Sweden, we mentioned before, as an example. Because of the heavy use of salt in the diet, Sweden could not feed itself and had to import large amounts of salt from other countries. In order to make sure they could buy enough salt from abroad, the Swedish had to attach great importance to shipping and keep it undamaged, as it was the most crucial way at that time. While in other ancient countries, in order to distribute salt to other places, it was not the case. Take ancient Sweden, we mentioned before, as an example. Because of the heavy use of salt in the diet, Sweden could not feed itself and had to import large amounts of salt from other countries. In order to make sure they could buy enough salt from abroad, the Swedish had to attach great importance to shipping and keep it undamaged, as it was the most crucial way at that time. In order to make sure they could buy enough salt from abroad, the Swedish had to attach great importance to shipping and keep it undamaged, as it was the most crucial way at that time. While in other ancient countries, in order to distribute salt to other places, groups of men had people distribute salt around the world. Of course, in modern times, we have various ways of transporting goods, but in ancient times, it was not the case. Take ancient Sweden, we mentioned before, as an example. Because of the heavy use of salt in the diet, Sweden could not feed itself and had to import large amounts of salt from other countries. In order to make sure they could buy enough salt from abroad, the Swedish had to attach great importance to shipping and keep it undamaged, as it was the most crucial way at that time. While in other various ways of transporting goods, but in ancient times, it was not the case. Take ancient Sweden we mentioned before as an example. Because of the heavy use of salt in the diet, Sweden could not feed itself and had to import large amounts of salt from other countries. In order to make sure they could buy enough salt from abroad, the Swedish had to attach great importance to shipping and keep it undamaged, as it was the most crucial way at that time. While in other ancient countries, in order to distribute salt to other places, groups of men were employed. They put bags of salt on their shoulders or backs and moved them to the surrounding regions, and gradually these people were considered as a mode of transport in early times. Later, with the improvement of traffic conditions, salt trade between different regions was boosted, and long-distance food trade was also promoted, making communication between different cultures more frequent and...
That is the end.
Ôi, có 2 cái sai thôi. Cái này mình không chắc lắm này. Này bỏ Swedish King sẵn. Mà trời ơi, King rồi, ok. Fair point. Cái này là gì? Sao ta? Shipping. Nó có... cái này là... fuck, shipping. Desert. Fuck. Tưởng water. Wow. Have to improve everyday, với cả mình cứ kiểu bị mất tập trung mọi người. Cái này có vẻ dễ hơn này. Chắc thế. Đây là bài 3 đúng không? Part 4 à? Damn.
4. You will hear part of a lecture on organic farming. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Okay. Organic farming can boost the safe necessary for producing pesticides and fertilizers. May attack organic vegetables. Productions of organic vegetables such as tomatoes and winter wheat production is lower than it used to be. Productions of... Cái này chắc là percentage. Cái này chắc là tên một loại rau nào đấy. Không. Production không nhớ. Of organic products for animal indulging organic keep the same.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Probably.
Hi everyone. What I'm going to talk about today is organic farming. Let's first look at what organic farming is. It can be defined as one or more systems of production which don't use synthetic fertilizers, man-made pesticides.
Từ chưa bắt đầu nghe. Đang mãi mất tập trung, lẫn táp ra ngoài. Mình làm cái này mình hay mất tập trung lắm mọi người. Chưa bắt đầu.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Organic farming is...
Hi everyone.
One word.
What I'm going to talk about today is organic farming. Let's first look at what organic farming is. It can be defined as one or more systems of production which don't use synthetic fertilizers, man-made pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, or livestock feed additives to grow crops and raise animals. Virtually all organic farmers prefer to use renewable resources and recycling to give what conventional farmers might consider waste back to the soil of Mother Nature. From this, we can see organic farming is a sustainable production system, which is one of its advantages. Organic farmers use numerous techniques to promote the quality of life of plants and animals within existing ecosystems and minimize pollution that occurs with all conventional farming practices. Another benefit is that, with the increasing consumer demand for a healthier, more nutritionally balanced product, the sales of organically produced food are promoted. According to the research, it has become the fastest growing sector of agriculture and has shown an annual increase of at least 20% during the last 6 years. What's more, Both chemical fertilizers and synthetic pesticides consume non-renewable resources such as oil and coal, but the development of organic farming can lower the demand for these fertilizers and pesticides, so it is conducive to the conservation of essential energy. At the same time, it also can reduce industrial pollution caused by the production of these chemical substances. Organic farming differs greatly from the traditional one in a number. The sales of organically produced food are promoted. According to the research, it has become the fastest growing sector of agriculture and has shown an annual increase of at least 20% during the last 6 years. What's more, both chemical fertilizers and synthetic pesticides consume non-renewable resources such as oil and coal, but the development of organic farming can lower the demand for these fertilizers and pesticides, so it is conducive to the conservation of essential energy. Fertilizers and synthetic pesticides consume non-renewable resources such as oil and coal, but the development of organic farming can lower the demand for these fertilizers and pesticides, so it is conducive to the conservation of essential energy. At the same time, it also can reduce industrial pollution caused by the production of these chemical substances. Organic farming differs greatly from the traditional one in a number of ways. Let's discuss it from the perspective of agricultural biodiversity. Firstly, for instance, earthworms are an important indicator of soil fertility. Studies have shown that the density and species number of earthworms in organically managed soils are 3 times as high as those in conventional fields. Moreover, the biodiversity in organic farming can also be reflected in the number of insects, which is twice as many as those in traditional farms. This might be highly related to the fact that organic vegetables are grown without any human-made pesticides, making these vegetables more likely to be damaged. The other main difference between organic and traditional farming lies in crop yields, one of the biggest concerns of organic farmers. Organic farms, though possibly well adapted for certain local environments, produce less food per unit of land. For example, organic vegetables like tomatoes and potatoes yielded are 40% less than conventional ones. In addition, research has also found the number of weeds produced in winter is about 90% at present, which has decreased by 10% than before. However, lower crop yields in organic farming are still inevitable at the moment. Anyway, organic farming is a new direction for agricultural development. These days, a variety of organic products are cultivated not only for humans but also for animals. For example, organic grass. It is commonly used in organic farms to feed cows. Because of the non-use of synthetic fertilizers or pesticides, it can protect cows from diseases brought by large-scale breeding, thus ensuring the quality of raw milk. But an interesting phenomenon is that its production has remained constant these years, which is quite unique compared with other types of crops. Research on organic farming has covered various aspects and involved many countries. According to one study, organic farming was proposed in India in the early 1960s, when it was faced with acute shortages of food grains due to the ever-increasing population and natural disasters. Although it could not be applied successfully at first, as farmers had been familiar with conventional instructions, proponents of organic farming claimed that organic agriculture emphasized biodiversity and effective soil management could enhance the capacity to mitigate and even reverse the effects of climate change. So, India needed organic farming along with modern scientific agriculture. The study shows that in 2016, India became the country with the largest number of organic products, and the production of crops kept growing year on year. Another international review about organic farming presents in the first part that people today have become increasingly interested in organic food, and this opinion is quite the same as that of other articles. But what impressed me most was the volume of the investigation the author did in different countries. He conducted a survey in 99 countries, of which 66 are convinced that organic farming is beneficial to animals. while 8 hold the opposite opinion, and the remaining 25 say it is inconclusive. Therefore, the last part of the review is mainly talking about whether organic farming brings positive effects to animals. We can see there are different views about the advantages of organic farming. Some may think it can provide more nutritious and healthier food. Others may say it can protect the natural environment and benefit wildlife. However, as far as I'm concerned, it's you, the ones who buy organic products, that will decide what...
Si, lại con ma. Thấy không? Con mẹ cứ thắc mắc của nó lên là energy là resource, xong rồi nó là energy. Vãi là thật, cay thật đấy. Câu này sao lại là C đây? 9 là mẹ. 9 là gì? The fuck? À, cái này. Cái này mình kiểu nghe nó mông lung ngang luôn đó. Oh well, my bad. Mình đang tiến bộ lên sau từng bài. Đây là cách để mọi người có thể đạt điểm cao listening. Mọi người cứ làm nhiều thôi à. IELTS nó chỉ thế thôi à. Mọi người cứ làm nhiều tự khắc nó được ấy à.
IELTS listening. Version
bài
53997.
dễ.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work.
Sally something.
All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. Write all your answers in the listening question booklet. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer.
Tua, tại vì nó nói nhiều quá, không thích nghe. Đi thi mình sẽ căng thẳng nên mình sẽ không nghĩ đến việc tua nói, nhưng mà kiểu mình làm ở nhà tâm trạng thoải mái làm chơi. Này kiểu
Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Cái này là cái form bài điển để người ta sửa renovate cái nhà.
Morning. Thanks for coming round. I'm Sally.
Morning. So just before we get started, I'll just make a few notes. So, we're at 15 Hill Street.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. And then I need to write down your contact information, just for the office, you know. So, first, what's your surname, please, Sally?
It's Keyworth. I'll spell that. Keyworth.
And your phone number, I've got that somewhere.
Keyworth.
Yes, 027 584 6613.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Sally, so what building work would you like to have done?
Well, let's go into the kitchen first.
Need a big
So,
window.
you see, it's quite dark in here. We've tried having a few lights fitted, but it hasn't really made any difference. So, what we've decided is the window is too small. We'd like a larger one.
That shouldn't be a problem. And is there anything else you'd like done in the kitchen?
Well, at this time of year, I mean, I shouldn't complain really, but I wish it wasn't so hot in here. Is there anything you can do about that?
Air conditioning?
It's too expensive.
How about a fan then?
Yes, that would be perfect.
Ah, righto. And what's next, Sally?
Well, if we walk through into the bathroom, the thing is, when my father's staying, he can't use the bath. So I thought here, on the back wall, I'd like you to fit a shower. Is that possible?
Shouldn't be too hard. I'll get you some brochures, because there are a few ways of doing that.
Thanks.
Now, those tiles on the wall look new, so do you want to keep those?
Yes, the tiles are new, but actually my husband doesn't like them. We want to change to those very small ones. But do I have to choose a colour now?
You can do that later. I'll get some charts for you to look at.
Oh my God, this is so
Before you
easy.
hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10.
You have some time to look at the questions 5 to 10. Don't make fun of the examiner, or they will make you shit your pants on your speaking test. For real, for real. They would have that ego eyes. When you sit in the room with them, they just kind of stare into your soul, and it feels so damn scary.
Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Now the last thing, let's walk outside. I need to show you some things outside the house.
Righto. Oh, nice garden. And the fence
garden.
looks in good condition.
Yes, it's new, but the thing is the gate. It's too low. You have to bend down to open it. We need something that's higher.
Right, I'll see to that.
Then the other thing is the garage here. We had a break-in, actually.
Yeah, I can see.
Lock? You need a new lock on
The door
lock?
should be fine, but the lock.
Yeah.
I'll replace that, shall I?
Yes,
Think
thanks.
so.
Then also,
Fence
if you
door.
step back here and look up on the roof, you can
Steel?
see that it's damaged.
Did that happen in the storm a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
I'll get up there and
Right.
take a look at that then. That might be quite a big
Wall height.
job, but I'll get back to you once I've had a look.
Okay.
I can see that your rain
Hay
gutter
không
is
đoán
broken
được.
as well.
Can you fix that?
Well, I'll need to replace it, maybe with a steel one. It'll be
Ooh.
stronger.
Phải cái
No,
đấy.
plastic will
Cái
be
đỉnh
fine,
ấy chưa?
thanks. It's cheaper.
Plastic.
Okay.
And that's
You're
everything,
cheap.
I think. Is there any other information you need? What about a start date?
Well, I'm completely booked all April, and I've got a job on May the 5th. That'll be a few days, so let's say May the 8th.
Okay.
Now, what about a key in case you're out?
We have a security code. I'll give you that. It's a mix of letters and numbers. The code is AG4176.
Got that. Okay,
Sao?
we'll organise some...
Hay đi lao.
That is the end of part
Không được
1.
là- Thấy không? Không sai một câu nào. 10 trên 10. Sao bây giờ lại bảo Hải đi lao rồi? Thế anh còn muốn thật không để em bảo Khanh? Ok. Khanh dễ lắm mà. Bảo gì cũng chịu hả? Trời ơi, nhìn đi. 9.0. 10 trên 10 không sai câu nào. Chỉ làm một tí để làm quen lại với cái phong đề thôi mà. Làm kiểu 3 bài ấy, cứ tưởng tượng em không ôn gì, xong trước khi thi em làm 3 đế. Thêm vào phòng thi em kiểu easy. Ok. Thêm vài cái nữa. Cái bài kia nó dễ thôi. Bài 1 lúc nào nó cũng
Part
dễ.
4. You will hear part of a lecture on learner persistence. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Ôi. Participants in the learner persistence draw from the same. Oh, ok, đây là một cái survey. The study showed that when they're starting their course, older students were worried about financial implications on future careers or home life. Okay. Research finding. À đây, first level of importance là enjoyment of the personal characteristics. Many are the second, good environment, positive experience. No idea. This is like a survey. Recommendations.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Okay, dude. Bring it on.
Today, I'm going to talk about my research on learner persistence. Let me
No,
first
not okay, I'm
introduce why I
studying.
wanted to carry out such research. As a university teacher, I found learners' responses to certain things vary a lot. For example, some students may completely give up their degree studies because of a temporary illness, while others may overcome all kinds of difficulties and try their best to continue their studies. The latter are the students with learner persistence, and this is the group that I'm particularly interested in. To do the research, first I selected my undergraduate students as the research sample, with a total of 200 people. All the students selected were seniors, and they had already stayed in the course very well. Although the sample was drawn from a range of ages, there were deliberately a large number of mature students, and there was one thing in common. All of those students were living at home in the local region. I wanted to maintain this element of consistency, so I didn't include those coming from outside this area. Then I designed a questionnaire that aimed to find out what their concerns had been when they began the course, and then what had made them stick at the 3-year studies in university. Findings from the first section pointed out that there were different concerns when they started their university studies. For example, some worried about the financial circumstances, while others were concerned about their careers after graduation. However, the research found the biggest concern for mature students tended to be the relationship with their children at home.
Yeah. Kinda guessed that. Kinda? Like.
Next, I wanted to find out what had made those students persist with their university studies. So in the second part, I designed my questionnaire under 3 main headings: social and environmental factors, other factors, and personal characteristics. And I included 3 levels of importance for each of these 3 headings. At the first level, those points identified by the respondents were regarded as the most important in learner persistence. Let's look at them one by one. For the first column, that's the social and environmental factors, a significant number of students said it was crucial to have effective support, whether from their tutors or friends. For other factors, students were driven not so much by high grades, but by what they regarded as a success in their studies. This was quite different from what I'd expected. Regarding personal characteristics, a sizable percentage of participants said they liked to take up a challenge, which was seen as a very important factor. Then at the second level of importance, in the first category, many of the respondents regarded the life they enjoyed at school as an important social factor because this gave them good experiences. In the second column, other factors, a lot of respondents regarded the life they enjoyed at school as an important social factor because this gave them good experiences. In the second column, other factors, a lot of people said that the most significant thing was decent health, which was also conducive to their persistence in the studies. And then, under the third column, quite a number of respondents had the same view that they should have a range of interests in their everyday lives, because this could broaden their minds and give them a sense of perspective, which less persistent learners might lack. And then on to the third level of importance, under social factors. Several respondents said that they had been keeping close to their tutors in their 3-year university studies. In the second column, for other factors, they mentioned it was very important to live in a family without any problems. And finally, under column 3, they talked about the capacity for multitasking, which was the ability to simultaneously deal with different problems. From these findings, I've concluded some recommendations on how to promote students' learner persistence. Primarily, I suggest that we should distribute questionnaires to the freshmen so as to make clear of their maturity when they begin the course. This is really our most important concern.
That's fun.
Secondly, I propose that we should find ways to offer some training sessions to the students who are selected to encourage them to play the role of advisors. The purpose of this is to make support much more approachable to other students.
Advisors?
Thirdly, in the evening and night, when offices are closed, students may have no one to turn to for help. As a result, I think we should provide online services to those in need. Researchers have pointed out that this service is actually more accessible than traditional services.
Online help.
And finally, if students don't submit their assignments before the deadlines, I think we teachers should contact the students first rather than...
Oh damn! See, I got the hang of this. This is so easy. Dăm ba cái IELTS test. Trời ơi, 9.0 easy. Này, không sai một câu nào. Tutors, maturity, advisors. Với S, nhớ nghe kỹ S nha mọi người. Đi thi mấy cái này nó cứ S phải không S là nó trừ điểm luôn. Nó không có trừ nửa điểm của bạn đâu, nó trừ hết. Này, interest, tutors, advisors. 3 cái có S liền. Không để ý là bay ngay điểm. Rất là nhanh. Này, nói chung mà mấy cái này kiểu mình cũng định chia sẻ cách mình làm bài thi, nhưng mà thật sự là mình cũng chỉ nghe. Đây, ví dụ như là thi thoảng mình sẽ kiểu học một cái từ gì đấy mà lâu lâu mình chưa nghe qua ấy, mình quên cái từ đấy nghĩa gì, mình search nó ở trên Cambridge Dictionary. Ví dụ như là vừa nãy mình gặp từ basin để nó là cái bồn rửa, hoặc là cái chậu. Nói chung là nó từ kiểu chỉ dùng ở Anh ý. Anh Mỹ không dùng cái từ Bayesian này. Bayesian, đây là cách đọc, cách phát âm này.
Basin.
Bayesian.
Basin.
Nghe giống nhau mà. Bayesian. Nghe giống kiểu raisin ấy nhỉ. Nho khô. Mà chưa nghe từ này bao giờ. Kìa.
Section 3.
Đây section 3.
You will hear
Đấy
a
là làm
sociology
section 4.
student called John discussing his research project
John.
about the use of public services with his tutor.
Okay.
First,
Nói
you
chuyện
have some
với
time to look at
cả
questions
tutor.
21 to 26
trợ giảng
on page
người trợ
5.
giúp tutor của mình về cái bài research project của anh ấy. Tại sao anh lại chọn tại sao anh lại chọn project này? Anh mong chờ gì khi mà làm cái này? Cái vấn đề gì việc sử dụng cái official records? Ông tutor nghĩ thế nào về việc sử dụng một cái survey để lấy thêm thông tin? John đồng ý add thêm cái gì vào cái cuộc điều tra của anh ấy, và bao nhiêu anh ấy sẽ dùng bao nhiêu cái questionnaires cho cái bài của anh ấy. 2 cái strats mà John dùng để để encourage.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Okay, 20.
Hello, John. Come in and sit down.
Tutor là phụ nữ.
You're here to discuss your research project, are you?
Yes, I've more or less decided what to do, but I'd like your opinion.
Fine.
Okay.
You've chosen a topic.
Yes, I want to look at how people use public services in their local area. Things like parks and swimming pools.
Right. Well, the kind of information you'll get is very useful for town planning, of course. Do you have a special interest in public services?
Not really. It's just that I found a report in the college library about an investigation that was done 10 years ago, and I thought it'd be interesting to do a parallel one.
10 years is a relatively short space of time. What do you expect to find? Do you think things will be more or less the same as before?
I think there'll be some differences. For example, I think the number of people going to the library will have decreased. And I'd guess that older people are using the sports centre more often than they're used to.
Fine. So those are your hypotheses. Now, what sort of data are you going to use?
I was thinking of using official records from the management or the local council and analysing them. They should be easy to obtain. I don't think that sort of information would be confidential.
Yes, you're probably right. There might not be as much information as you'd like, but it'd certainly be the easiest kind of data to work with. But have you considered using a questionnaire as well?
It's okay to get data from more than one source.
Absolutely. It's a bonus. You've already done the module on questionnaire design, haven't you? And it'll be good to get experience, because next year you'll have to do something similar for your final dissertation on a bigger scale.
Okay.
And what are the variables you'll be looking at? Are you going to look at people's level of education? Whether they have a degree, for example?
I hadn't planned to. Do you think I should?
Well, you might see some interesting patterns.
Okay. And that'll tie in nicely with my plans to analyse the kind of work people do.
What about the size of your sample? Have you got any thoughts on the number of questionnaires you might send out?
The previous study surveyed 120 people. I don't think I can really analyse more than 50 working by myself, so I should probably distribute about 80 questionnaires altogether to allow for wastage. Do you think that's enough?
Definitely. I know that your project guidelines recommend a minimum of 100, but that's an ideal number, and you're working by yourself. And anyway, this assignment is mainly about giving you practice in research methods.
Right.
Ông ấy chỉ cần 50 nhưng mà ông lấy 80.
Before you
là
hear the
greater
rest of
number
the
than
discussion,
his analysis
you have some
là
time
nghe
to look at questions
nó hợp lý
27
nhất,
to
nhưng mà mình
30
cũng không chắc
on
cái câu này
page
đâu, câu này
6.
không có chắc. Mấy câu trước thì khác. Two strat mà John dùng: simple language, delivering the questionnaire in person, making the questionnaire anonymous, providing return envelopes, and trialing the questionnaires on friends. 9 đến 10 là hai cái advice.
Now listen
mà
and
John
answer questions
cho John
27
là
to
mixed
30.
question types. Some questions should
And think of
elicit
ways you
certain
can encourage people to actually complete the questionnaire.
Ship.
For example, to make sure that your questions make sense, you should try them out beforehand.
Okay, that's no problem. My friends will help.
Good. Sometimes you get unpredicted responses and you have to rephrase a question.
And I know that you usually get a better return if you deliver questionnaires in person, but there'll be too many. But I could enclose a stamped envelope for the return post. It's a bit expensive, but I think it'd be worth it.
Yes, good. Some people say that another way of increasing returns is to make the questionnaires anonymous, but usually people put their names on anyway, so I don't think that would make much difference.
Okay.
Hay này hợp
And
lý
can you
đấy.
give me a bit more advice about the questionnaire?
Đây rồi.
Would it be a good idea to have a short paragraph at the top explaining what I'm doing and why?
Definitely. And
yeah.
don't forget, you'll need to get a bit of information about your subjects, what age group they're in, and perhaps how long they've lived in the area. So you'll need questions for that.
Yes. I suppose that'll mean it takes a bit longer to complete, but should I give them my phone number in case there's anything they're not sure about?
I wouldn't if I were you, no.
Okay.
Ôi,
And do I have to use open-ended questions as well as closed questions? I know the books say it's better to have a mixture.
Well, it depends. In this case, I'd stick to closed questions.
Ôi.
The results will be much more
Ôi thôi.
manageable like that.
let me see. Đệt. Ê sao sai nhiều ấy. Ê sao sai hết mấy bài cuối. Ê hai cái này đi sai đần vãi. Tức là đúng hết á mọi người, không có sai đâu á. Trừ cái này, tức là sai một câu ấy á. Bọn này ác độc thật. Hai cuối giả dụ nhá, hai cuối nó là chọn hai đáp án đúng không? Mình chọn B, C, xong nó bảo mình là mình phải chọn C, B, mình kiểu mày bị điên à. Cái này cũng thế, mình chọn D, đúng rồi, chỉ sai có một câu thôi, sai cái xem nào, sai cái này thôi. Qualifications. Okay, my bad. I was wrong. But it was one. It was one, and there were wrong answers. They kind of fucked me up with this EDDE thingy. I was right on that. Fuck you, Tess. I am always right. Not always. Almost. Let's do one more. This is fun. Cube House.
Part 4. You will hear part of a
history
lecture
thinking.
on cube houses in Rotterdam. First,
Oh, no, Rotterdam.
you have some
Far.
time to look at questions
Let's
31
search
to
it.
40.
Cube House. Cube House. I think it's. I saw this. I walk through this every day. I live in Rotterdam for a while. Gee, now I get to do a question of listening about it. Damn, this will be fun. Look, you've been. Want to redevelop and revive the cities. Shape of a cube. Each cube building is in the shape of a cube. Cube. Sit on top of a to the central city path. Sidewalk.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Good morning.
Concrete.
In today's lecture, we're going to look at the Cube Houses, an iconic architectural complex in Rotterdam. First, I'm going to be telling you about the history behind it.
Cube.
As many may know, not much survived the bombing of Rotterdam during World War II, and it took a long while for the city to start the urban regeneration project. Dutch architect Pierre Blom designed Rotterdam's cube houses in the late 70s at the request of the city's planners. He had previously experimented with cubic architecture in the city
cubic.
of Helmond. So, when he was offered this project in the Olderhaven area of the city, he decided to expand upon his original idea. Blom believed that urban communities should live together under an urban roof. He designed the cube houses to recreate daily life in a village where individuals are closely connected and yet have their own separate space. And even after more than 30 years, the cube houses remain one of the city's most eye-catching developments. It's easy to see why these striking homes are cubes tilted 45 degrees on their side. The result is buildings that look, feel and behave unlike anything you'll find elsewhere in the world. The concept behind these houses is that each elevated cube seems like a tree. And collectively, the cube houses are in the shape of a forest, with each triangular roof representing a treetop. Interestingly, these houses are located right over a pedestrian bridge.
Chưa. Hôm qua. Nhưng mà nó bị nó chậm thế trước đấy rồi mà. Oh, that. Fuck. Cái đấy ở trên cái kính cường lực đúng không? Thế không sao đâu.
Nhưng mà
anh mắng em. Anh bảo địt mẹ mình. Bro, I'm studying. Leave me alone.
Across one of the busiest streets into the city centre next to a railway station. The traffic-free area that connects the cubes includes a little children's playground as well as small offices and studios. With thriving includes across one of the busiest streets into the top. Interestingly, these houses are located right over a pedestrian bridge across one of the busiest streets into the city centre next to a railway station. The traffic-free area that connects the cubes includes a little children's playground as well as small offices and studios. With thriving restaurants and cafes right on the doorstep, they were designed with the community very much in mind. However, the cube housing's development endured various challenges and complications during design and construction, and it once stopped as the designer had difficulty in finance. Luckily, the project resumed within 2 weeks after the designer received another round of grants from the city council.
Nhà đấy thuê để đắt vãi chưởng.
So, what makes the cube houses different from traditional architecture? Let's look at some of its unique design features. Each cube house has a space of 100 square meters and is divided into 3 floors, and it is very striking to see these houses fixed on one angle. The tilted residences are constructed on 3 concrete pillars. The whole construction is made of 38 regular cube units, all connected together with 2 supersized cubes at both ends of the string. One of the 2 larger cubes was developed as an architecture school, and there is another building recently built between it and a warehouse. Standing at 3 floors tall, their ground floor is the entrance. When you enter a cube house, the first thing to get used to is that all the walls are slanted. You must take a narrow staircase to reach the lower floor. This level and the top level are both triangle-shaped. The lower level contains an open kitchen and a living room. The medium level houses a bathroom and 2 bedrooms, while the top level provides a great view, since the apex of the room is a 3-sided pyramid with windows all around. In some cases, the top floor is used as a small rooftop garden. And as you enter the top half of the structure, your initial inclination may well be to mind your head. Now that you know the history and design features behind these odd-looking houses, you might be thinking about how it is to live in them. After curious bystanders kept disturbing the cube house's residents, one shrewd owner opened the Show Cube Museum, which gives visitors the chance to take a tour around a fully furnished cube house. It also highlights some of the everyday challenges that the residents face, such as buying and fitting furniture for a structure without straight walls. In recent years, Rotterdam's cube houses have been joined by another architectural icon just across the square. Rotterdam's Market Hall, the largest indoor market in the Netherlands, is another multi-purpose residential and retail complex that will live long in your memory, as well as helping to fill your belly with tasty treats. In 2009, the Rotterdam-based Personal Architecture, BNA, converted one of the larger cubes for one of the leading stay-okay hostel chains in the Netherlands. Today, the hostel invites everyone to experience what it's like to live in a cube house and enjoy a stunning panoramic vista of the surrounding area. What attracts guests most is its ideal location with a major railway station within a 5-minute walk. The accommodation is also offered at a fair price, which appeals to visitors both from home.
Sai một câu. Finance. Ê, nó sai chính tả. Finance. Bro, it's finance. Yeah, it's finance. What do you mean? What do you mean finesse? What is finesse? Finesse is verb. So I'm 9.0 IELTS. Fuck you, bitch. I'm better. Cái web này kiểu mình sẽ report. Question number 4. The answer is finance. You finesse. This is a typo. Enter your name, Yusari. Enter your email address. Hey, stop. I will stop you guys from looking at this. Wait, where's my how can I stop you guys from like looking at this? Cause I legit cannot show you guys my my where is my screen captures? I cannot find it and hide it. Here, let me type in my email real quick. gmail.com. Okay, gmail.com. Okay, wait. Okay, I'm back. Let's do more tests. I need to report them that the answer is finance, not finesse. Finesse doesn't mean anything. I'm being like roasty and petty about this because they gave me a 9 out of 10. I'm supposed to get a 10 out of 10. I'm not that bad. I know I'm good. Hello, hello Shin. Hi Shin 3D FBI. Huh? Skin. Ew, ugly. Oh my god, that gun is ugly. It's like so fuckly ugly. Fugly. Yeah. Okay, why not? Let's try more IELTS test because I'm doing so good in this, I guess. Kinda good. I don't know. I even found a mistake in their answers. So far so good. I'm decent English listener. Okay, non-driving vehicle. I hate this word. I cannot spell it. Every time I come across vehicles, it's
vehicle.
Okay, I did vehicle. Okay, I did good. Why am I so scared of this dumb word? Oh my god. Wait, let me jump into non-driving vehicle competitions real quick. My god, it took forever to report. Your mistake is so big. Took you forever to acknowledge it. Ugh. Okay, let's.
Section 4.
Section 4.
You will hear a tutor talking to a group of students about a project to build a driverless vehicle.
Ooh.
First, you
Like
have some
Tesla.
time to look at questions 31 to 40 on pages 7 and 8.
Okay, dude. Undergraduate from both engineering school and the department can definitely take part in the project. So like it's a department. Automate vehicles will have to avoid obstacles such as human, I guess. The theorem mentions one vehicle use technologies such as lasers and laptops to measure its surroundings. The camera? The purpose of the race is to blah 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 blah. Tutors say the success will depends on blah 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 blah. This year competitors were surprised that the vehicles blah 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 blah, and then we have the schedule, which from late May, June, September, December to January. Okay, it's pretty clear for this test. So far, so good, I guess. I'm such a nerd.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Such a huge nerd.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
I have an exciting announcement to make.
So
The
exciting.
university has decided to enter an international competition
What,
next
it's
year.
international?
And we are going to need some enthusiastic
Tesla.
undergraduates to help us with the project.
Okay.
The competition is to make an automated vehicle,
Oof.
a kind of robot that will be able to move
So it's-
quickly and accurately
So it's like a
on its
Tesla.
own. All the vehicles will then enter a race which will take place here in the U.S.
Wow.
So the engineering school will be collaborating with the computer science department and possibly the automotive design department, although that's yet to be confirmed.
Okay, two
What
words.
they have to
Two
do
words.
is try to
Two-
design an automated vehicle which will be able to complete the course.
Avoid
To give you an idea of how tough this race is, one vehicle last year only managed 12 kilometers of the 280-kilometer stretch of California desert that forms the racetrack.
Damn.
The vehicles in the race must cover the whole distance without a human
Okay,
driver
dude.
and, quite autonomously, identify and steer around corners and avoid unexpected hazards. Things like rocks, for example.
Rock.
It's a challenging task because there are lots of obstacles of this kind along the route. As I said, in last year's event, the most successful vehicle only drove 12 kilometers.
12.
Then its team
That's not a
decided
lot.
to deactivate it because it had gotten too near a cliff.
Ah.
In
Damn.
the race held earlier this year, there still wasn't a winner. But
Oof.
they did much
không ai thắng.
better.
No one
And there
wins.
was one design which we will be analyzing carefully in seminars.
Oof.
Its
So
strength
seminar.
was in its onboard technology. That
Okay.
particular vehicle built a three-dimensional
Sensors?
picture of its surroundings using video cameras and lasers.
Video.
It was equipped
camera.
with 7 laptop computers, which analyze the incoming information 10 times a second.
Video
And it
cameras.
drove along at a comfortable 55 kilometers
No
per
idea.
hour. The design details have been published, so we hope to learn from them and go on
This
to
is
make
long.
ours
This is like
even
the
better
last-
for next year's
Last
competition.
part of the test, so it's like
The competition
extremely
is
long.
open to all universities, and there's a prize of $2 million for the winner.
Oh, 2 mil?
But it's
That's
really
a
about
lot.
more than that.
No.
The
it's-
sponsors are hoping to see innovative design ideas that they can transfer into commercial production. You'll get a lot out of this project as well, in terms of working as a team
Bro, I got
and broadening your...
distracted.
The competition is open to all universities, and there's a prize of $2 million for the winner.
2 mil
But
is a
it's
lot.
really
2
about
mil
more
is
than that.
Like,
The sponsors are hoping to see innovative design ideas that they can transfer into commercial production.
okay.
You'll get a lot out of this project as well, in terms of working as a team and broadening your knowledge of the subject.
Okay, dude, it's just
The
for
key to
company.
winning is unlikely to be anything to do with what the vehicle looks like.
Okay.
Programming skills
Vẻ ngoài
will
không quan trọng.
decide who eventually wins first prize. The design will need technological expertise in this area above all, and that's what the team who work on the project will need to focus on. I'll be handing out some scientific reports about this year's vehicle shortly. It's interesting to read that even after months and months of planning, building, and trials, many of the teams were amazed that the vehicles did what they wanted them to do at all, because so many things can go wrong on the day. So even though no vehicle actually completed the course, they were pleased they got as far as they did.
Okay. I'm not sure about this one.
Right.
Like it's
If any of you are interested, this is the plan of action.
Or software
Keep an
design.
eye
I
on
think
the
it's
main
the
notice
software.
board for
I
details.
bet my money on it.
Firstly, at the beginning of May, we'll be scheduling a seminar to introduce the project to anyone who might be interested. Later in the month, we'll be asking you to submit a short essay, letting us know, because so many things can go wrong. Right. If any of you are interested, this is the plan of action.
Okay.
Keep an eye on the main notice board for details. Firstly, at the beginning of May, we'll be scheduling a seminar to introduce the project to anyone who might be interested. Later in the month, we'll be asking you to submit a short essay, letting us know why you feel you should be chosen to take part in the project. You'll need to tell us about any particular skills that you have and can bring to the team, and any experience you may have had in the field. Then, in June, we're organizing a trip to a factory to chat over some design considerations with specialists there who have kindly agreed to act as consultants throughout the project. Then at the beginning of the next semester in September, we thought we'd hold a weekend workshop to share ideas and see computer-aided design demonstrations. We have a brand new package which sponsors have kindly financed. You'll need to be able to use it with confidence before we start. In December, we'll be asking you to submit your outline design. Next semester in September, we thought we'd hold a weekend workshop to share ideas and see computer-aided design demonstrations.
Okay.
We have a brand new package which sponsors have kindly financed. You'll need to be able to use it with confidence before we start.
Okay, dude.
In December, we'll be asking you to submit your outline designs, and the following month, we'll choose the team and start work in earnest.
Okay.
Okay, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay, let's submit it. I need to see my score. I'm obsessed with my score. Oh no, I got to. Oh my gosh, it's yes! It's this! Skills and cameras. Oh my god, why didn't I put it? I was like, S. I wrote down skills and then I delete the S because I thought it was irrelevant. Also, I did write down cameras. Then I also deleted it. Oh my god, I hate myself so bad. This is killing me because I'm keep hitting the wall because I know I'm better than this, but then I keep stumbling. Let's do another one. If I get a 9 on the next one, I will. Let's find a one that's like it's fun to here there's some fun because it has fun run in it. Take the test. Have you finished sending the mistakes? I know you haven't. I will close you anyways. Took so long of my times. Okay, let's read through the questions like we always do. Start a timer.
Section 2.
And then ignore the first
You will
part where
hear a
they
coordinator talking to volunteer helpers before a race involving a large number of people.
Okay, parking spot.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14 on page 3.
My god, you are distracting me. Voice, the timing chips, and then which color run first, and then race organizer need volunteers to help. Oh, volunteers, what do they do? And here is the map. Oh my god, I need this in another tab because it's too damn small on my screen. Okay, that's all. So we will have the stage, a t-shirt stand, a backlit.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Let's do this. It's had a map. I love map, I guess.
Thank you for all volunteering to help us with the Bridge to Brisbane Fun Run. The purpose of this meeting is to give you some information about your duties on race day. Some of you are asking about where you can park on the day. Unfortunately, some of the usual places, down by the river for example, will be out of bounds because we'll need extra space for emergency vehicles. Probably the best option is the Jack Gray Sports Field in Barker Street. Although the closest parking lot is the Metro shopping complex, I would advise you not to park there, as they tend to tow away people who aren't customers.
Not recommend.
At the start line, most of you will be checking that runners have the necessary gear, especially their electronic timing chip, the race number and the identity wristband.
Okay.
Make sure that the number is attached to the front of the running shirt or singlet, not the back. The timing chip, which records the runner's time, needs to be clipped onto one of their shoes, and check that they are wearing their wristband.
Okay.
Some of you will be responsible for organising the starting groups. It's very important that runners start in a particular order.
Okay.
There is a system of colour codes. The red group are walkers and people with baby strollers. The purple group are runners that expect to finish in at less than 1 hour, and the yellow group are our elite athletes. We'd like them to start the race, and we'd like the other groups to follow after that, with the red group and the strollers at the very back. This is for their own safety. Now, we are still short on volunteers for the race day, so if you have any friends or family members who might be interested, please let us know.
What will they
We're probably okay for people to help with the start, but we'll still desperately need volunteers along the race course to distribute water bottles to the runners.
Okay.
A few of you have offered to help with first aid, but the good people of St. John's Ambulance have donated their services, so that won't be necessary.
Okay, let's move on to the map. I love map. Let's do this.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20 on page 4.
Okay. Let's see. Oh my god, give me the map. The answer to the map. Just start talking already. This took so long. I have ADHD. I'm gonna sit here. Please continue. I don't need time to read the questions. I already skimmed through a bit.
Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Now I'll show you the layout of the race village, which is where the race ends. Can you all see the map? If you look at the bottom right hand side, you'll see where the runners enter the village, next to the corporate catering section.
Go.
As you continue along the course, you'll see the stage on your right. That's where the winners will receive their medals. Now, can you all see the finish line near the centre? After they finish the race, the runners can take one of two paths, it doesn't matter which one, to get their finishers' t-shirts from the t-shirt stand at the end of those paths. Many of you will be stationed there at the end of the race. After they finish, the runners will also want their belongings, and all bags are kept in the building on Bowen Road. It's quite close to the exit, in the top left-hand corner of your map. Now, some of you will have an important role, working in the information centre. That's the building in the centre of the map, not far from the finish line. It's just below it on your map. And one other thing, can you all please remind the runners to enter in the prize draw for the new car? The entry box is between the shade tents and the corporate catering buildings. Okay, let's see now. What else do I need to point out? Ah, yes, the runners are always thirsty. And the main water station in the village is just beside the third exit through to Gregory Terrace. Can you see it there to the left of the corporate catering area?
Aye.
So everyone, please direct the race finishers there to get their free bottled water.
Okay, I think that's it. Let's check out
that.
I need to see my score. My god, I got a 9. That's so unexpected. I didn't thought I got it all correct. Of course I know. I'm that good. I'm just that good. Amazing. Damn. Amazing. Okay, I think that's all for today. Cause to be honest, it's 4 a.m. I shouldn't do this in the middle of the night, but here I am. Here you guys are. So good night. Thank you for listening to me babbling about IELTS listening tests, because I don't know, I love doing IELTS listening tests. It's somewhat proof that I'm good at something, I guess. Like I got a 9.0. Of course I'm good. Good night. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. Bye. See you guys later in another day, not at the middle of the night when I cannot sleep. Bye. Wait, what is